coworker frames me for her thefts, so I become her best friend to expose her to the company. Here's what happened. Subscribe to Am I the Jerk on YouTube and hit the bell for notifications. This story happened around 6 years ago, when I worked for a retail company we'll call No-Op. Jay, one of the assistant managers, was well known to be a thief by the base staff and some of the lower levels of management. Unfortunately, she was a golden girl to Mo and Travis, the store manager and the lead assistant manager, and we never had any solid proof. We also didn't get paid or anything unless it was over a certain amount, which it never was, so staff never had a real incentive to try and find proof. One of Jay's favorite things to steal were vouchers for money off products or shopping, because you were supposed to just rip them up and put them in the safe. There was no official way of counting these to return them to the company, so she could use them again in a different store and get away with it. This particular day was Halloween, and I was on till 4, the only till with no cameras on it. Mo came up and paid for her shopping with some gift vouchers she'd received at a store manager's meeting, because the store was doing really well. I served her, and no one else touched my till all day, because I was the main person on the tills for this shift. We closed up for the night, and Jay took the registers to be cashed up. I went to the pub with friends and had a good night, not knowing what was coming. The next shift I'm on, Mo calls me into the office and tells me that the vouchers she used were not in the safe, and she knew that it was my till. She wanted me to return the vouchers, and would not press charges or put anything on my file if I just returned them immediately. I, of course, did not have them, and testified as such, but she didn't believe me. I went looking everywhere, the bin under till 4 and the bins outside, under the tills and on the floors around the tills, just in case I had dropped them, or put them somewhere dumb while trying to sort out the cash. Roughly an hour later, Jay comes in, hears what's going on, and offers to look as well. She finds them in 30 seconds flat, somewhere I had already looked. I essentially hissed out, "What a coincidence that as soon as Jay looks there she finds it immediately. How coincidental," seething with white fury, as I knew she was now framing me for her own theft. She could have found them in the office and made it a simple mistake, but no, she made me the fall guy for her own idiocy. I tried to plead my case to Travis and Mo, stating that I wouldn't be dumb enough to steal vouchers that I knew were Jay's because I was the one who served her. One of the other team leaders, Paul, knew fine and well it was Jay, and tried to tell Mo and Travis that I was being set up, but she was the golden girl, and could do no wrong, while my name was mud as far as they were concerned. Heck, they thought Jay had caught me in the act. This meant war. Over the next few months, I got really friendly with Jay, flirting outrageously with her and basically pretending like I really respected her and that we were good buddies. It took me a while to work my way into her trust, but once I was there, I knew I could catch her stealing and prove it. We wasted off a load of Christmas chocolate products that hadn't sold, and I put them in a bag to be put in the bin. Jay said we should take them home, which was against company policy and seen as stealing. Her justification was they were just going to go to waste otherwise. We were stood underneath the camera, just outside of its range, so I said, "I don't want any, but if you want them, you can have them," and put them on a trolley just inside of the camera's range. I had studied the camera angles in great detail, preparing for a moment exactly like this. I saw her look at the camera, down at the trolley, and back to the camera, before walking off to get her stuff. I warned my colleagues not to take any of the chocolate, even if offered, and had an evil grin on my face which my colleagues commented on. When Jay came down, she nonchalantly picked up the bag as if it was her shopping, offered chocolate to everyone, and walked out the door with it. Gotcha, jerk. The next morning, I arrived for my shift, and put on the most somber face possible as I approached Travis. "You should check the cameras on the back door at approximately 10:21. I think you'll find something you see very interesting." He asked me to explain further, and I looked over towards where Jay was, not even 5 meters away, and looked back. I can't go into further detail right now, but I would strongly suggest you go and look at the cameras for that time. Now, Travis begrudgingly walked off to do just that, and within 10 minutes Jay was called into the office and her bag was searched. Within the hour, she was suspended pending investigation, and within the week she was fired and barred from the store. I got a full apology from the managers who didn't believe me, who explained they genuinely genuinely believed it was me and had no idea Jay could have possibly been a thief. Their jaws hit the floor after I explained that every member of staff knew she was a thief, but that we didn't feel like we could do anything about it. After going around asking people if this was true, I got another apology. 6 months later, I was offered training to become a team leader myself. I took it, but ended up quitting for a white-collar role in a different company before I finished my training. It really does suck to have to work with people like this, especially when they're your superior. This story is a perfect example of that. Even when our original poster had a very strong suspicion of what was going on, there was no action taken, and it was essentially their word against Jay's. They're always going to back their manager when it comes to that, which makes it really awkward for anyone on the base level to really do anything. Our original poster wasn't going to take no for an answer, though. I don't know if it was quite necessary to go to all the effort of becoming buddy-buddy with her, but either way, they got the result they wanted. I'm sure everyone in that store is happier with Jay gone. You can submit your own stories to be featured here on the channel. The story submission link is in the description below, and if you want to listen to some vibey music in the background, check out Easy Mode, also linked below, and don't forget to subscribe. I accidentally fell in love with the turkey that was supposed to be my Christmas dinner. So, about 18 months ago, we moved to the country, bought a house and a few acres outside of town, and started some poultry, ducks, and chickens to start. We hatched our first lot of birds, and I grew them out and harvested the roosters and drakes from my freezer. Over the last 18 months, I've been working on the numbers to see how to keep a fairly closed flock and meet our personal consumption of meat and eggs. Spring of this year, I had a single survivor turkey from a friend's hatch come my way to see if he could make it with some extra TLC. Well, Big Willie is now my yard mascot. We quickly decided that this now not so little underdog was here to stay. He's a pet now, so we decided to get him some ladies to keep him happy, and hopefully stop him from trying to hump my waiters. I ordered 5 chicks from a local supplier, doorstep delivery because COVID, and opened the box to find 10 turkeys. A few months later, and they've been free-ranged all summer, and we have 5 males and 5 female from the batch. The plan is 1 male, a heritage breed, and 2 of the girls will go to a local breeder. Willie will have the 3 other girls join him in his spoiled pet pen, and the boys will go in my freezer. One in particular grew much faster than the others, and we named him Chunk. Mistake number 1. Chunk was put on a calorie-controlled diet so I could grow him out for Christmas without making him uncomfortable while he was growing. This meant penning him separately from the rest, and so he got a little more time each morning and was always the first to the door for food and pets, which I was happy to give. Mistake number 2. This morning, I spent $130 on a large commercial pot and an hour scrubbing and setting up my harvest tables ready to harvest this bird. Evening time, I bring him out of his pen, turn him over, which is a natural sedation as the blood runs to his head, and instead of going to sleep, this turkey lifts his head, snuggles my leg, and just chills. I don't hang my birds for harvest. I usually hold them through the process so it's less stressful. They're used to being handled. I can't do it. I just placed a very confused bird back in his pen, who has to wonder why the heck he was carried into the yard at night, cuddled upside down for a few minutes, then snuggled half to death and placed back in his bed. I'm cooking Christmas dinner this year. He was supposed to be it. Now I'm looking for recipes for nut loaf, and I need to think about rehoming 4 turkeys, because I'm pretty certain I can never eat it again. This one's just kind of a sweet story. I would probably be in the same situation. I'll be honest, I don't really want to know where my food comes from. I love animals, but they're also delicious. What can you do? I imagine that would be a hard thing to get used to when it's not a lifestyle you necessarily grew up with. Mind you, you made a big move and big purchase coming out here to do this for a living, so I guess you're gonna have to start trying to get used to it sometime. Today, I pulled a gun on an old lady. So back in the day, I worked for an armored car company. We serviced a lot of big box retail stores. I was on my usual route. This was the beginning of the holiday shopping season, so all of the stores on my route were packed. I go in the front and customer service manager waves and radios his manager that I'm here. It's a normal stop for me. I know where to go. On one side of the store was the office. That particular day, I was making both a cash drop and pulling cash to take back. I stand outside the office and wait for the store manager to make her way over. So while I wait, I pull out my scanner and start entering info and stuff. Not 30 seconds in, I hear an irritated, "Excuse me." Now, for reference, I'm in a store where the employees wear red. I'm in mostly black, as in black boots, polo, and even still wearing my aviator sunglasses. And also, very obviously, a police-style duty belt with a large holster that very visibly contains a firearm, holding a sealed black bag with the company's name on it. I look up and it's a middle-aged woman, and I kid you not, she has the typical "I want to speak to the manager" haircut. We'll be referring to her as Suburban Mom from here on out. This is the shorthand version, as this was a few years ago. I look up from my scanner at her. "Yes, the ad said you had this toy on sale today, but I can't find any. Can you check for me?" "Sorry ma'am, I can't help you. There should be an employee here somewhere." "What do you mean you can't help me? I shop here all the time, and you can't be bothered to check for a toy for me? Why do you even have that thing then?" "Ma'am, I need you to calm down. I can't help you." "Fine, then I'll do it myself." She proceeds to try and grab my scanner. The second she makes her grab, I drop the bag in my right hand, take a half a step back, grab my pistol, and pop the Serpa open. The holster has a piece of plastic that I have to depress in order for the top of the holster to pop forward, allowing me to draw. It makes a noticeable noise. I half draw my pistol, the end of the barrel still inside the holster, and put on my old army voice. "Back up now." She quickly realizes this has gone from 0 to 100 very, very fast. She takes a few steps back, right as the manager appears. "Okay, what is happening? He wouldn't help me, and now he's threatening me. I'm calling the police. Why are you people carrying guns?" I slid my pistol back in the holster and locked it. "Ma'am, he doesn't work here. He's a guard for the armored car service." The manager turns to me. "What happened?" I told her I couldn't help her, and she tried to take my scanner, broke the arm's reach roll while I'm in possession of cash, and attempted to assault me. "I'm within my ROE. Ma'am, I can call the police if you'd like, but he does not work for us. Also, if you like, I can get an employee to help you." It dawns on this woman what she's done. Yes, an employee would be helpful, and I'm sorry. No harm, no foul, ma'am. Everything else is uneventful, but man, that was an intense 12 seconds. I can't say I agree with how our original poster handled this situation. He's the one who escalated this to a very unnecessary level. Yes, we have a Karen who's being obnoxious and doing stuff she shouldn't be doing, but it's pretty clear that she's just being a jerk and not actually threatening you in any way. I'm sure the officer could have taken a couple of steps back or something like that instead of immediately going to pull out his gun. That's how people get hurt. I'm not saying this woman's in the right at all, but this guy should have handled this better. I get that on paper this woman has done enough for him to warrant reacting this way, but you gotta use common sense in the situation. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. Our original poster feels like the kind of person that thinks all their problems can be solved with a gun. My partner for all my projects at school is a jerk who only wants me to do all the work. So I set up a presentation that I'm happy to let him take credit for. This happened a few years ago when I was in school. I was 14 at the time. Every year, our class teacher teams up the students into pairs that would do any group projects given for the rest of the year. I had the misfortune of being paired with Jerk. Now, Jerk was such a jerk that nobody wanted to be in a group with him. He was the leech of the class, who would do no work of his own until the last minute, and was a pro at cheating and copying during exams and tests. Unfortunately, he'd managed to fool the teachers into thinking that he was a good, albeit lazy student. I had no doubt that I was in for a rough year of doing group projects all by myself. Right off the bat, Jerk did his absolute best to do no work, and since I was a pushover, I ended up doing 100% of it. A few times, I tried bringing it up with my physics teacher, who didn't like Jerk either, but I was told that unless I had proof, she couldn't mark him differently. I had a strict family, so I didn't have my own phone at that age, and had to use my mom's phone to interact with Jerk. All of our talks happened via calls, and my mom's phone didn't have the option to record calls. Therefore, there was no proof. Apparently, Jerk came to know that I'd tried to rat him out, so he tried to pull a fast one on me. He called me up during one project and told me to give him the PowerPoint presentation by a USB in school the next day so he could include his own additions. I, like the idiot I was, did it, thinking that Jerk had finally turned over a new leaf. Turns out he wanted revenge on me for telling on him by editing out my name from the credits and by using all my work as his own. I was shocked when we were called to present when I saw the opening slide. It read only Jerk last name, and he used my work for his own. After a lot of arguing arguing and almost crying. I managed to convince the teacher not to fail me. She agreed, but said that I would get lower marks for said project than Jerk. The last I saw of Jerk that day was him wearing a big old grin. I'd had it. I came up with an amazing plan for our next project. As our next project came closer, I called Jerk and told him that I didn't mind doing the entire project as it was my favorite subject, which was the truth. Physics was the one class I absolutely loved. He readily agreed, although I told him that I'd be making separate PowerPoints for both of us, my part in the first and his share in the second. I told him I'd simply include a video in his PowerPoint so he didn't need to read it to prepare himself. Instead, I prepared my part diligently and began to create his worst nightmare. Instead of the explanatory video on, ironically, friction and forces, I included a video from an adult site that had the actors getting right to it from the beginning. As I expected, Jerk didn't recheck his part, which was a good thing. Time to let it play out. The next day, when we went to class, I asked Jerk to come with me to the teacher to tell her that we had separate PowerPoints. He agreed. To make it clear to my teacher that I had nothing to do with his messed up PowerPoint, Jerk himself explained the situation to our physics teacher. Unsurprisingly, she agreed. I flawlessly presented my part, save for a few stutters here and there because of my nervousness and excitement. As soon as I said, "Now Jerk will show you a short video that'll show you how blah blah blah," I quickly stepped away and waited for it to hit the fan while Jerk swapped my USB for his and started his PowerPoint. The next few minutes were awful. As soon as Jerk started the clip, everyone went slack-jawed, including Jerk. My physics teacher was too stunned to turn off the computer. I swear, if a student hadn't recovered in time, my classmates would have eventually seen a big finale. Jerk was frozen as our teacher yelled expletives at him. Everyone thought that this was his joke for forces and friction. I don't think I mentioned this, but Jerk was the class clown. Eventually, he was let out and taken to the principal's office for his behavior. Soon enough, it became the talk of our school. Everyone gave Jerk dirty looks as he entered the school the next day with his parents. I felt sorry for his parents being humiliated like that, but not too sorry. They'd previously tried to spread rumors about my parents having an extramarital affair, which eventually collapsed upon itself. But that's a story for another day. Suffice to say, Jerk was quickly indefinitely suspended for the rest of the school year. He had to attend summer school and had an absolutely crappy reputation for the rest of his years at school. I don't think he ever even spoke to me after that. I don't know what it is about people like this that think they're just gonna keep getting away with it, and that people like our original poster aren't eventually gonna get fed up with their crap. Why the heck should I keep putting in all this effort and you getting credit for it? Honestly, I think this is a mistake in how it's structured in general. You shouldn't be with the same person all year long. It should be rotating out. That way, whoever's stuck with a guy like this, at least isn't stuck with them for an entire year. Once Jerk pulled that one move of trying to take all the credit for himself, he really put the nail in his coffin. He was already skating by with having our original poster at least do his half. Why exactly did he feel the need to try and take it a step further? All you're doing is ticking off the person who's doing all your work for you. I can't say I really see your end game plan here. Clearly, it didn't work out so well for him considering it ruined his entire reputation for the rest of his time at that school. Hopefully, once he got his fresh start at the next one, he learned to pull his own weight, or at least not tick off the people that are doing it for him. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications. Put the playlist on in the background to finish listening to all the stories. Or if you want to listen to some Biby music in the background, check out Easy Mode. If you like Am I the Jerk, give Am I the Genius a shot. Everything linked in the description.